Hi, this is Mrs. Meckes. I'm here to do our timeline motions and timeline song with you today. Behind the camera are actually Kate and Garrett, and so if I'm looking off into the distance, I'm actually looking at them, just like I wish I was looking at you guys right now. But I've got the cards, I'm going to explain the motions, and then I'm going to welcome them over here on the couch to do the motions and the song with me. So this is actually the last portion of our timeline song, so that's kind of exciting. We've gotten through the whole timeline, and these are the last 7 cards of it. We have Age of Information and Globalization, circa 1970 to the present. And for Age of Information, we are going to take our hands and type like we're on a laptop or keyboard. So typing for information, and then our hands are going to go up and around for globalization. We're going to make the whole world with our hands. So Age of Information and Globalization, circa 1970 to the present. The next one is Watergate, President Nixon resigns. And for this one, we're going to make a building with our hand and 2 eyes with our other hand. And these 2 eyes are going to spy on what's happening in the building. So we have Watergate with our 2 fingers, and then President Nixon resigns. We're going to make the sign for president, which is our hands up here and out, and an N with our finger for Nixon. So Watergate, President Nixon resigns. The next one is the fall of communism in Eastern Europe. For this one, we're going to make the sign for fall, the fall of communism. This is our sign for communism, so we're going to put our fist up, the fall of communism. In Eastern Europe, we're going to make our E with our hand and circle it around our temple here for Europe, Eastern Europe. Alright, so again, that one is the fall of communism in Eastern Europe. The European Union formed, and for this one, we're going to keep our E up by our temple for European, and then Union formed, so we're going to make like those chain links with our fingers and make the Union formed. So again, European Union formed. Apartheid abolished in South Africa. So for apartheid, we are going to we're going to have our 2 hands separate because apartheid were rules to keep people separated in that country. So we're going to make our hands separate, pull them apart. So they're going to bump up against each other like this, kind of our fists together, and then they're going to separate. So apartheid abolished in South Africa, and for abolished, we're going to just kind of circle our hands over top of each other and rip them apart, so we're like throwing it away. So apartheid abolished in South Africa. September 11, 2001, and for this one, we're representing the Twin Towers and the day that they fell due to terrorist activity. So we're going to make a tower here, fall, fall. September 11, 2001. And the very last one is the rising tide of freedom. And for this sign, we're going to make our sign for freedom, and we're going to do it in the song. It repeats twice, so we're going to say rising tide of freedom, rising tide of freedom. And then it circles back to say at the very end, timeline, timeline. This is my timeline. Timeline, timeline. I'm part of my timeline. So we're going to point to our wristwatch. So for time, and then make a line with our fingers. Timeline. And then when it says I'm part of my timeline, we're going to hold kind of that cup in front of us, and we're going to put ourselves in it. I'm part of my timeline. Timeline, timeline. And it's going to say at the very end, I'm part of my timeline. So we're gonna kind of end it by bringing the timeline all together. This is my timeline, okay? So I'm gonna have my kids come and join me and see if they were listening very well and see if we can do it together. All right, maybe we'll spread them out in front of us so you guys remember the pictures at least. All right, so the song, the last part goes, age of information and globalization, circa 1970 to the present. Watergate, President Nixon resigns. The fall of communism in Eastern Europe. The European Union formed. Apartheid abolished in South Africa. I think the song goes 2000 AD, 2000 AD, which I didn't say, you could do 2000 AD, 2000 AD, September 11, 2001. The rising tide of freedom, rising tide of freedom. Timeline, timeline, this is my timeline. Timeline, timeline, I'm part of my timeline. You guys can listen to the actual song to probably get a little better musical ability there. Have fun learning the last part of our timeline. Next week we get on to presidents. It's good to see you guys. Bye.